Karen's voice pierced through the quiet morning air like a siren. "You can't park that truck here. This is our community," she shrieked, arms flailing as if she owned the land. I had just stepped out of my pickup, dirt still on my boots from the drive back to my ranch, when the flashing red and blue lights lit up the street. Two cops pulled in behind me. Karen stood there, smug, clutching her phone. "I told you," she hissed. "The HOA doesn't allow his kind here. Arrest him." The officer walked over, hand on his belt. "Sir, are you aware you're trespassing in a private HOA community?" I smiled. My voice was calm, but every neighbor leaning from their porch could hear me. "Officer, she doesn't know who I am. I oversee every single HOA in the United States." The silence that followed could have swallowed the entire street whole. My cabin in the forest had always been my sanctuary. The crackle of the fireplace, the scent of pine resin, and the soft sound of the creek just beyond the porch. It was freedom, untouched by rules, fines, and neighborly pettiness. After months away on business, I had returned to my ranch just outside the city, where unfortunately, an HOA had sunk its claws into the land surrounding my property. That's where Karen came in. Karen wasn't just any neighbor, she was the HOA president. Blonde bob cut, pastel sweater draped across her shoulders, clipboard always clutched like it was a weapon. She was the type of person who could turn a sunny afternoon into a courtroom drama. The first time I met her, she didn't even say hello. She looked at my old Ford truck parked in my driveway and wrinkled her nose like she'd smelled garbage. "Sir," she called out, voice sharp, "that vehicle is not HOA compliant. You'll need to move it immediately." I stared at her, half smiling. "Ma'am, that truck's been parked here for 20 years. It's on my land." Karen raised her clipboard, scribbling furiously. "Not anymore. This is community property jurisdiction. Read your bylaws." Another neighbor, Paul, the type who always mowed his lawn at exactly 7 a.m., stepped out, chuckling nervously. "Karen, maybe give the man a break." He just got back. Karen shot him a glare sharp enough to slice steel. "Paul, rules are rules. If we start bending them, this place will turn into a junkyard," I wanted to laugh. My cabin, my ranch, my freedom. It all clashed against this sterile neighborhood with manicured hedges and paint-coated fences. But I didn't laugh. I just tipped my hat and walked inside. That evening, as the sun dipped low, I heard the sound of papers slipping under my front door. A violation notice. Karen's handwriting was scrawled across it. "Failure to comply. Fine $500. I held the paper up to the fading light, my jaw tightening. And that was only the beginning. The weeks that followed were a circus orchestrated by Karen and her loyal HOA board. Every day seemed to bring a new violation. Your grass is 2 inches too tall. Your barn door isn't painted the approved shade of beige. Unauthorized livestock sighted on premises. I nearly choked laughing when I saw that last one. Unauthorized livestock? That's a horse, Karen. On a ranch. But she wasn't joking. Neither was the $1,000 fine stapled to the notice. The gossip started soon after. At the local cafe, I overheard whispers. "That guy's trouble. He doesn't belong here. Karen says he's refusing to follow rules." It ate at me not the fines, not the gossip, but the arrogance. This was my land. My family had worked it long before a committee of nosy neighbors and their bylaws existed. One evening I confronted Karen directly. She was watering her roses when I walked up. "Karen, these fines? They're harassment." She smirked without looking up. "It's called community standards." "Maybe you should learn to adapt." "Adapt?" I snapped. "You're fining me for owning a horse on a ranch." Her eyes glittered. "If you don't like it, sell." Someone respectable will buy my fists clenched, but I kept my voice steady. "Careful what you wish for." That night, I dug into the HOA's records. I knew the structure, the chain of command, the legal loopholes. Because here's the part Karen didn't know. I wasn't just a rancher. I was the national director who oversaw compliance for every single HOA in the country. And Karen? She was about to learn that her little kingdom was built on sand. The next morning, I drove my truck right into the neighborhood, parking it deliberately across from Karen's house. I left it dusty, with hay still in the back. Within minutes, Karen stormed out, phone in hand. "That's it! I'm calling the cops! You're done here!" Neighbors peeked out from behind curtains. Paul stood on his lawn, shaking his head. The squad car pulled up, lights flashing. The officer stepped out, firm but polite. "Sir, we've had complaints you're trespassing in a private HOA community." I leaned against my truck, calm as a still pond. "Officer, this isn't trespassing. This is my property." Karen shoved her phone toward him. "Arrest him. He refuses to comply with HOA law." I straightened, pulling a leather folder from my truck. I flipped it open, the golden seal catching the sunlight. "Officer, I oversee every HOA in the United States, including this one." Gasps rippled through the street. Karen's face drained of color. The officer adjusted his belt. "Is that true, sir?" I nodded. "And what I see here is abuse of power, fraudulent fines, and harassment." I turned to Karen. "You've turned this neighborhood into your personal dictatorship." "That ends today," Karen sputtered, her hands trembling. You can't." "Oh, I can," I cut in. "And I will." The officer gave her a long look before muttering, "Ma'am, I suggest you cooperate." By evening, Karen was stripped of her presidency. Neighbors came by one after another, some apologizing, some thanking me. Paul raised a beer and said, "Never thought I'd see the day." But as I stood on my porch, watching the sunset bleed across the horizon, I couldn't shake the feeling. Karen wasn't done. People like her never were. And when she came back for round 2, I'd be ready. So, what do you think? Should I have shut Karen down earlier? Or did I play it just right? Have you ever dealt with an HOA nightmare like this? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Hit that subscribe button because the war with Karen is far from over.